Going on, guys? I got a MS360 here. That's an 1125 with flippy caps on it. Um, that we're going to split the crankcase on today. And it's got a couple things on it. We've got a flywheel and a clutch on it. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you guys how to pop them off the easy way as well. I'm going to start by pulling the clutch off of it, and then I'll spin around and do the flywheel. I suppose you could fight with a breaker bar and just trying to hold the flywheel still and whatnot, but the impact works the best. Just make sure you have it set to forward. Clutch off of there. Reach in there. I'm going to pull the oiler drive gear out too. It looks good. Now we can see the oil pump. I'm going to spin it around. Put the gun back in reverse. Bump the flywheel off. This is the actual genuine Stihl flywheel puller. It really isn't much more than a 22mm fitting with a bolt down the middle of it. But it does make this job a heck of a lot easier. Just when you go to put that in there, make sure you don't get it cross-threaded. This up a little more. Pull it out. Switch the gun out for a 17mm socket. Make sure that's spread down a little bit. Yeah, put the gun back and forwards. And that's it. Flywheel off. Crankshaft doesn't look half bad, but then only tells you half the story. A couple other things on here. Now, and I'm just looking it over. Make sure there's no cracks or missing pieces or anything like that underneath of there. Now, the next step here is going to be to remove the oil pump and the spike and drive this dowel pin out of the saw. And this pin's important to take out, and so is the one. Oh, so I won't be able to. There it is. It's in here. It's right in here next to the oil pump. Those pins are important because as you're trying to split the case, they tend to hold the case together, especially this front pin here. And that's no good. That's how you crack or break a case trying to split it cold like this anyway. So I'm going to pull the bottom screw out of this. They can be in there quite tight. And now we have access to the hole for the dowel pin. Now, I don't think, maybe that punch will reach. You don't have to drive it all the way out of the hole, just enough so that it's not engaging in here, and that should be plenty. Now, turn it over here. I can see this pin. If I can, yeah. blow that out that way. That pin popped all the way out. The oiler spacer, seal. We're still good here. I'm going to take the oil pump off just to get it out of the way. I suppose you don't really have to. It's not really a big deal. Taking the oil pump off of it. Stuck on there pretty good. I might just tuck that up out of the way now that it's not in the way of that crankcase screw anymore. These can be in there quite tight. Those two are out of the way. Now, that loose and that loose. I'm going to use another genuine Stihl tool. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm going to need a couple bar nuts for this. Hang on a second. Alright, got a couple old bar nuts here. Now, I like to back this off quite a bit. Should slip right over the bar studs. Oh, and this one, we have a chain tensioner in the way. Scoot that tensioner up all the way. Make sure that the spindle of the tool was centered over the end of the crankshaft. I'll stick that on there. And they don't have to be super tight, just hand tight is fine. If you got big fingers, this one here can be a challenge. Just drop a socket over it, snug it up. I'll spin this down so it contacts the crank. Now, I will usually take this very, very slow, just to make sure everything's coming apart just like we want. It's nice and even, except for right there. So we'll back it off and see right here how it's not come apart. So it looks like there might be a screw in it somewhere. So we got to find out why it's not coming apart. Ah, look at that. I missed one. Means there should be one in here too. Yep. One out. That one's blocked in by a little bit of crud, but it's alright, we can leave it there. It's not going to hurt anything. Pop these back on. There it goes. And that's it. Now she's split. Now, looking in here, this is a good time to flush out your oil tank and stuff too, because you can get to everything now. As you can see, there's quite a few wood chips and things in there from usage over the years. Now we're splitting this to replace bearings. And honestly, by the feel of those, probably not a bad idea. I don't see anything wrong with that one, but it's not quite as smooth as they are new. Now, I still got a crankshaft in here. What to do, right? So obviously this tool isn't going to help me out. Well, that's where this one comes in. This is the other half of the crankcase splitting tool set. Many holes drilled in it so that it fits many different Stihl saws. Let's see, slide this out. This tool here tells you what saw uses what set of holes. So all these holes are numbered. They're like laser etched on there. This is an 1125 series saw. That's the 034, 036, and MS360. And it says use number 7. So that's okay. I cheated. I looked it up in the service manual ahead of time. Now, this center screw is a reverse thread. Let's see, we need the bolts that go in here. So now we pull 3 of these guys out. Start off here at number 7, number 7, and the other number 7. There it is. So that's the pattern. It looks kind of like that. Alright, I got this thing semi-lined up here now. I had one of the bolts in the wrong hole. The 7 is positioned between the holes and makes it difficult to determine exactly which one you should be using. So anyway, I got her set up now. You can see, pull this up here. You can see that one, I had that bolt one hole to the left, and that threw the whole tool just off kilter enough that those bolts did not want to jump right in there. So we're good to go now though. Now, the reverse thread. So to the left, we'll actually tighten the screw against the crankshaft, and I'll turn it this way so that you can see. Push the crankshaft right out. And that's it. And I have the crankshaft assembly out in my hand. Alright, I'm going to take it all back apart, take the tools off of it, and stick her in the parts washer and clean her up a little bit. Okay guys, back again. I got these cleaned up pretty decent, and I'm going to put these back together, and I'm going to show you how I pull the crankshaft itself back into the crankcase, rather than just relying on the case screws to pull everything together. So, first things first, you got to get this guy in there on the end of this screw. So, take that apart. I'll screw this in all the way. And thread that on part way. Insert the crank. Now when you put the crank in, you want to make sure that the rod is poking up through the cylinder hole here. Otherwise it won't work. Also, my seal is already installed, and I've already put some assembly lube inside the seal, so I don't have to worry about that. Oop. And I'm going to put a little wrench on this thing. I'll get this guy handy. Pull that out. Thread that together. And now, to get this threaded back in the tool, just hold the bolt still. Remember, it's reverse thread. No matter how many times I tell you that, I'll forget every time. whole thing rotate here a little bit. So now that's seated down that way. And then I'll keep rotating this to the right. Now don't take a whole lot. I like to do this by hand on this side so you can kind of feel what's going on. So I don't like running it with the impact gun or anything like that. It's an easy pull. And that's it, she's bottomed out. Get it out, play out. Take the whole tool off. Just by holding the crankshaft still. Spin the coupler off. And there you have it. Alright guys, I got one more we're going to do here. I'm going to pull the PTO crankcase side on to the assembly using the same tool that I used to pull it off of there. And it's going to be very similar to the way I pulled the crankshaft into the flywheel side. We're just going to use a slightly different tool. So, I use a sleeve. I got my gasket in there already. And I have the long bolts from the flywheel side tool in the crankcase to keep these halves and the gasket from getting out of place while I'm pulling this thing together. So what I like to do is spin this guy here on the crankshaft. Now this is utilizing the clutch threads to hold that on. And this side is not a reverse thread. Spin this guy out of there. Actually, there's a very easy way to do this. I don't know why I didn't think of this a minute ago. that on there. Rotating the crankshaft, and I'll pull my tool down on the bar studs. We'll get that guy started. Bar nuts there and on. Make sure that looks fairly flush on the bar mount. Come back up this way. Make sure your oil hose is tucked in there if you have that on already. And I'm rotating the crankshaft counterclockwise. See, it's not taking much. It's pulling the crankshaft into the bearing on this side, which I've already installed. And it's just by hand even. Closing right up. Got about a 1/4 inch gap now. That's it. Now we're down. Take these out and replace them with actual crankcase bolts. Take the tool off. Now, taking the tool off, take them out. Turn the crankshaft clockwise now. Remember, the clutch threads are reverse threads, so by turning the crankshaft clockwise, it takes the whole tool off in your hand. And there you have it. She's ready for me to put the rest of the screws back in, put the little stuff back on, like the bucking spike. I'll take a razor blade and trim up the gasket here. And other than that, we're good to go. Alright guys, take care.